Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We will begin our open hearings in the impeachment inquiry next week. We will be beginning with the testimony of Ambassador Taylor and Ambassador Kent on Wednesday, and we will have Ambassador Yovanovitch testify on Friday. These will be the first of the open hearings. And I think you will see throughout the course of the testimony, not only their testimony, but many others, most important facts are largely not contested.
When I hear Taylor versus Yovanovitch, I'm thinking, was it like the third round of Wimbledon? Taylor versus Yovanovitch. This is going to be good. It's not. So Dems are talking about getting this done by Christmas. So that means for Christmas, they're getting us. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? For Christmas, they're going to get us impeachment. Now, I know what you're saying. Chad, don't you want USMC? Yeah. Immigration reform? Working on stuff that has to do with big pharma and keeping the med prices? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's 110%. Yeah. Common sense immigration. No. Yeah. But what I find out is before we get it, they're going to take it and give it to the Senate. And then the Senate's going to look at it and go, this is even the wrong size. We're going to have to take this back. Oh, wow. That sucks. It's awful. It is. Hell, we can't even get a lump of coal because of climate change. At this point in time, you know what I'd like for Christmas? Krampus to just go to Capitol Hill. Just do Krampusy things. Whatever. You guys do what you need to do. It's happening next week. It is going to be look, it's a big thing. I don't want to downplay how big it is, but they had Andrew Yang on. You guys don't know who the Yang is. He's the Yang dog, right? Like, this is the guy that's given everybody in America $1,000 billion, right? He's going to give us freedom bucks and all this. It's going to be awesome. But he was like, hey, you just did a town hall. That's like Wolf Blitzer asked him. He goes, you did a town hall. He goes, how much impeachment stuff do you get there? He goes, nobody ever asked me about impeachment. He goes, I don't think it's a good idea. It's like, oh, there's common sense. That's why you're giving me $1,000. I like Andrew. I do. He didn't have a chance. But he's going to stick around longer than people think because he makes everybody uncomfortable, and I think there's a certain bit of that we like. Speaking of uncomfortable, Michael Bloomberg. You guys get him? Remember him? Well, apparently he is going to file to get into the race. And the reason being that he's uncomfortable with stuff. That he looks over there at the Democrats and says to everybody, no chance, no. That's crazy. So he's going to do it. He's got, what, $30 billion? Let's play a little fun here. What do you think, Producer Phil, Michael Bloomberg net worth is? You throw it out there.
Oh, 30 million.
53 billion. That is 50 billion more than Trump says he has. Even though he says he's got 10 billion, that's still a lot more billions than Trump has. So for him to throw enough money in it to make it uncomfortable for people and to stick around in places, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. But I understand why he's nervous. I understand why he's uncomfortable if he's on the Democratic side. He sees a economy that's still going strong. You've got the San Francisco Fed saying we're not headed towards a recession. We may have some turbulence, and part of that has to do with the trade, although there looks to be some sort of movement there because I think China's feeling really upset, especially as we head in the fourth quarter, what could be a boom time for them, and they're feeling it, right? As we have in certain areas, but Europe is having issues as well, but we're still motoring along, right? And he's looking around going, this impeachment thing's probably going to be an overreach. They're not going to get what they think they're going to get out of this. Then you've got the likes of Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, and they're just some of the stuff that they're throwing out there that just makes you go, are you kidding me? And we're going to touch on both of them later. We'll break it down in a serious way. But the reality is I understand why he would want to test the waters. And unlike a nobody coming in like Tom Steyer's a billionaire, right? Man, when you hear 53 billion and Tom Steyer's were like $1.5 billion, you're like, God, you're not. But nobody knows who Tom Steyer is, right? The only way people know him is if you watch CNN and you go, oh, that's the guy that just spends all of his money trying to get Trump impeached and talking about it on CNN. That's it, right? Like, nothing else. No, Michael Bloomberg's known. Is he as big as Trump? No. As far as you know, his name recognition was with Trump or Hillary, but his name is known. Oh yeah, his name is known well enough. It's you don't have to build. Well, you got to build a backstory and then build up who this person is. And no. People know who he is. People are aware of who Michael Bloomberg is. So he's unhappy. I get it. I do. And he's going to have to, you know, figure out if this is what he's going to want to do. He's going to throw his hat into the ring. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. But I think he's looking at this situation and saying, yeah, these people ain't winning anything. They're not. You're too far to the left, and you're trying to out-left each other. And the one guy who sounds great, some people look at him, and let's be honest, right? Pete Buttigieg has and I like Pete, right? I like Pete. I do. I absolutely like him. Listen to this, right? Like, this is great. He's in Iowa. He's got an ad running there. Listen, this, again, you don't have to, you can listen to him and say, well, at least he sounds like he's living in a world where, you know, normal people live.
Picture that first day the sun comes up in this country and Donald Trump is no longer the president of the United States. The sun's going to come up over a country even more divided and torn up over politics than we are today. I am ready to gather up an American majority that is hungry for change, that is done with division. I will never allow us to get so wrapped up in the fighting that we start to think fighting is the point. The point is what lies on the other side of the fight. The hope of an American experience defined not by exclusion, but by belonging.
I'm Pete Buttigieg, and I approve this message.
I like it. It sounds good. Now, if you love Trump, you're like, oh, that sounds awful. But the reality is he's got a couple problems. One is he looks like he's 12, right? You put red hair on him, you're like, hey, it's the guy from Mad Magazine. What's he doing running for president? Number two, he's having trouble with the black vote. Why? Because he's gay. That's the reality of it. He's having trouble. You look around, but he sounds good. The other guy that's somewhat in the middle, if you will, compared to the rest, is Joe Biden. And I'll be honest with you, Joe might be in Iowa and say goodnight, Cleveland. You have no idea. He fumbles, he stumbles, he is... I don't think he's in it for, I don't think he's in it for the long haul. And I don't think he's in it for the short run. I think it's even though he's going to try to go for it. Yeah, I could see why somebody like that. Plus, and this is the thing that everybody's got to take into account. Ego. Ego. These are big, powerful people like Michael Bloomberg. He probably sat there the night that Trump won and thought, son of a... I could have done that. I could have been that. Being president's pretty awesome. Better than mayor. Oh, I could have totally done that. Maybe I should do that. No, then everybody hates, but I don't know. Ego's a big thing, man. Ego is a big, big, big thing. So we'll see. But he's throwing himself in there. And we'll see how that goes. I don't know if he has a chance. And quite frankly, I don't care who you run at this point in time. Because if the economy's motoring and things are great, it's tough to see somebody lose. It does. No matter how divisive you think he is, or how sick and tired you are of the tweeting, the fighting, the yelling at each other, or all of these things, it's people still don't want to upset the apple cart. And I think they also are overestimating the excitement and temperature that all of America has for an impeachment. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Do love hearing from all of you. This was interesting. And I'm telling you guys, we live in a world where we are opting into everything, and American companies are creating all of these amazing things. And with all of that stuff happening, know that we've opted into giving up so much of who we are. And Twitter, man, guess what? People were spying. What?
Saudi Arabia certainly likes to crack down on critics. Just look at what happened to former Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, who was killed inside the embassy of Saudi Arabia in Istanbul. According to prosecutors, these former Twitter employees, Ali Azabara and Ahmed Abuomo, accessed more than 6,000 accounts of Saudi critics.
It's huge. Why? Because they don't like people talking about them. But that can happen everywhere, you know? You're giving up, we're opting in and giving up personal information, and it's not just, you know, I mean, you think about this, you know, this thing out there about the DNA, and if you give your DNA to certain people and, you know, all of these 23andMe and this, that, and the other, and when are they going to start coming in and looking at, you know, and starting to cross that line with law enforcement, and you've got these kind of things going on. You want to know in the future what the greatest currency is going to be for people? Privacy. Privacy is going to be it. And it wasn't just this. I mean, you know, right now they're looking at Facebook's got a lot of issues because people are looking in. But on top of all of that, we're walking around with something that is giving away all of our privacy. Our phones. Our phones. But are we willing to give it away? Are we willing to give it all up? No, because nobody wants to live in a world where we're so far gone and removed from anything that we're off the grid that we're the only ones off the grid. That's why I'm telling you, the currency in the future that is going to matter most to a lot of people is going to be their privacy. But yeah, of course, Twitter. You mean Saudi Arabia is uncomfortable with people being critics? And so is China? What? That's insane. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Wounded Paw. Most amazing organization. I'm telling you guys, if you have a chance, if you do, let's go to woundedpawproject.org. I dare you go there and say, nah, I don't want to give that. You can't. You're going to go there and look and go, oh my God, this is amazing. So they take dogs that would be euthanized. They save them and train them. So there were shelter dogs. Now they're going to be service dogs. And then they're going to be united with our veterans, our first responders, and their family. Are you kidding me? It's incredible. What they do is amazing. Veterans, first responders, and their families. How many times you hear about it? Veterans committing suicide, the struggle, the opportunity to have a dog in so many of these people's lives changes everything. Gives them a new lease, a new hope on life. And it's the same thing for the dog. Their motto is to save a paw, is to save a life. But they need your help. Take action today. Amazing tax-deductible gift. Turn your extra car, truck, RV, even a boat into a vehicle of change. You're going to be saving a paw to save a life. They also take cash donations, but check it out for yourself. Go to woundedpawproject.org. That's woundedpawproject.org, or call 844-678-4729. 844-678-4PAW, or woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Fui.
Fui, fui, and double fui.
What is your language? This is a family show, remember?
Fui to families too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
Just last week, Democrats in Congress blocked the defense spending bill that will spend money for the very troops that were serving in Syria to take down al-Baghdadi, or that continue to serve around the world. They promised us that they could walk and chew gum when they started down the path of impeaching the president yet again. That's proven not to be the case, though. So the people's business is not getting done right now.
No, it's not. USMCA's been sitting there for how long? Right, that's the trade agreement to get rid of NAFTA and replace that. Now, I could say the same thing about Mitch McConnell. It's not just the Democrats. Both sides are awful at it. And, by the way, it's not just the Democrats' bills that have been sent to Mitch. Mitch kills Republican bills. Right? And some of those bills, probably a good portion of them should be killed. Overspending, ridiculous, plenty of it. On both sides. Because the Republicans are like, oh, we really like to spend money, except for the part where we like to spend money. It's just nuts. It's just crazy. I'm sitting there going, man, look at that. Think about that for a second. All those things that have been sitting there. And they aren't getting done. And this is going to take away so much from what's going on if you're the Democrats. That's why I'm telling you guys, Buttigieg, not Tom Steyer, Andrew Yang, but Buttigieg, Andrew Yang, right, and Biden have a huge advantage. They get this thing done by Christmas. This is what they're talking about. Like, that's how they're going to run. Having this thing, as they're heading into the primary thing, you do realize that you're handing something over to Mitch McConnell, who could play a game of dragging it out, even though it might not look great for the president, but at the same time, get to the point where it makes it so uncomfortable because the people that are the Warrens and the Bernies aren't going to be able to be out there. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Or he could just kill it the first day. They could vote to not even go on with it and dismiss it, which would be hilarious as well. Oh, God, who knows with Mitch? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Don Jr. was on The View. We got a few things from that we'll touch on, as well as money. Millions and millions and billions and billions. We're going to break down a little bit of Elizabeth Warren and what she's got cooked up for everybody. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I never ever stop fighting for the people.
Remember that whole thing about Kanye West running for president? It's still happening.
When I run for president in 2024, we're going to definitely know what y'all laughing at.
On stage at the Fast Company Innovation Festival in New York Thursday, West said he's moving production for all of his clothing lines to the U.S.
When I run for president in 2024, we would have created so many jobs that I'm not going to run, I'm going to walk.
West had previously said he'd run in 2020. That didn't happen, so we'll see in a couple of years.
Go for it, Kanye. Go for it. Why not? It's the beauty of America. President Kanye West? Maybe I'll vote for him. I don't know. Let's see what he's talking about. Let's see what he's doing. He will. There's going to be somebody that's going to do it. There's going to be somebody that's going to run for president. A Kanye. Again, Oprah, like people throw it out there to Oprah. It won't be Oprah because she worked too hard to build up too much to watch it go away overnight. Right? I mean, you just flirt with hell. You just throw your hat somewhere near a ring, having nothing to do with it. In our tribal world that we live in, we're just like, I don't like you. Liked you yesterday. I'm not buying your book now. You know, what? So, but somebody will. Somebody will. Who? I don't know. Somebody. Somebody's going to do it. Don't know who. I was trying to think the other day. What celebrity? If you were thinking about it, what presidential celebrity would be out there? What person that could run for president that would be interesting? That is interesting. We already had Reagan, right? So Trump now is number 2. But Reagan, he was long gone, and he'd been in politics so long that many people have probably forgotten somewhat what he was. And Trump was many things other than that, and part of being a celebrity was being the wealth. But, man, that's going to be interesting. I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be somebody, though. Somebody's going to throw their hat, and they're going to throw it in for real. They're going to get serious about it. And I think Kanye is that kind of person. Because I think here for Kanye, and for a lot of other people, this goes to the ego side of things, like we were talking about with Bloomberg, who's throwing his hat in the ring, kind of. It's the ego that's going to get you, right? That vanity, that ego. That's, I can. If he can, I can. If she can, I can. And when you're successful, that's real. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Today, Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilford, who we've had on the program before. She's really nice, by the way. Despite the fact that she was married to Gavin Newsom of California. Remember what happened there? He cheated on her, but whatever. Don't worry, it was only his best friend and his wife. And so she was on, and he was on today on The View. Look, I will say this, and I was talking earlier to a comic who we're going to have on next week, and he works with Colbert, and he does a lot of stuff, and he's a good guy, Paul Mercury, and we were chatting, and we were talking about the fact that, people on the left, they won't go into like, I invite everybody here. Man, I'll have Bernie on every day. I'll give you a whole show, Bernie. I'm not here to fire at you, and I'm not going to undercut you. I'm not going to destroy. That's not my thing. I want to sit down and have a conversation because I'm not insane. I'm not into a firebrand because I'm not. I invite everybody. They don't. Very few will. The ones that will are the ones who aren't just tribal and crazy, but they're very few, right? They're so very few. So I applaud him for going on there because not only the only quote-unquote conservative friend you would have on that program, for all intents and purposes, is Meghan McCain. And let's be serious. What your dad said, how they fought, and just watching her body language today, where he went out and he said, here's a picture of Joy Behar dressed as in blackface, right? And they went back and forth on that. They had a better relationship on that show than Meghan McCain and Don Jr.
Inflicting pain on so many people wouldn't have been worth it to me or my family to the White House. So I just want to know, is it worth it?
Well, listen, I think it depends on the hat that I'm wearing. For me as a citizen, as a father of kids in New York City, it hasn't exactly been, peaches and cream for us either. But you know what? It is worth it when I do go around the country and I see people who are affected by these policies, who are getting to live their American dream again.
Ooh. Yeah, they don't get along. It was an interesting thing, though. And they asked Kimberly, hey, Don Jr. Decided to out the whistleblower.
Kimberly, you're a lawyer.
Yes.
And we've known each other. You were a former prosecutor. Yeah. I mean, did you advise your boyfriend that it is a federal crime to out a whistleblower?
I didn't advise him that it was a federal crime, but I did come out of the bathroom and say, I left you alone for 10 minutes. What happened when Mamacita's gone?
But the thing I liked is they kind of were, basically on her, Kimberly Guilford, about a lot of stuff. And she wanted to set some of the records straight when it comes to how well people are doing it and what kind of people they are.
To go something real quick, Whoopi, to just say about character, because I grew up in the Mission District where you filmed Sister Act at St. Paul's, at one of my parishes there. Right. I know the president for 13. I know Don Jr. I'm proud, Latina, Hispanic, Boricua, 64% Native American Indian. I know the measure of the man, and I know his character. Maybe there's some things that he's better done. Both of them, the entire family. I stand for them because I do believe their commitment. Women are doing better under President Trump. Hispanics, African Americans. That's not fake news. It's real. Women entrepreneurs. Okay. Are you going to be able to work
323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Mexico, still absolutely horrific. Nobody's been arrested. I don't think anybody will. Understand what's going on in Mexico, in that area, who runs that area?
Mexican officials have been in and out of this area for several days now, and there's a large military presence, but still no arrest. And the family isn't confident anything's going to happen anytime soon. As they told us directly yesterday, the cartels run this part of the country.
Yeah. And think about it. Who's investigating any of this, right? In an area where completely has become a narco state, where a good portion outside of a few big cities is completely run by cartels, where there is a drug flow opportunity. You're given two options, right? The old saying there is silver or lead. You're going to get silver, which is dollars, or you and your family will get lead. How hard do you think they're going to push? Who's going to give anybody up? It's just not going to happen. It isn't. Now, some people are saying that they believe that there's some evidence maybe that they were actually targeted. I don't know about that. I still am of the opinion that, because if they wanted them dead, they're just going to go up to their compound and kill them. If that's what they really wanted. So, is it possible? Of course, anything is possible. I mean, who knows? Maybe they got into the drug trade too. I don't think so, but it's just not going to be solved. And I still think whoever did this is probably already dead, because the last thing you want to do is what? Bring heat and attention from the United States of America on them. And the stories, the more and more the stories are coming out about the little kids, and it is heart-wrenching. It is just still an ugly situation where senseless, 9 people just traveling along. The woman got out. They saw who she was, and they still killed her. Kids, the whole 9 yards. You just step back and you're like, sweet mama jamma, what the hell is wrong? Like, who is that person, right? You almost say to yourself, who are you as a human? Are you that so far gone? I guess so. And that is very, very sad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That is your Twitter. Those of you may be familiar with this guy. His name is Bill Gates. Now, Bill Gates, for those of you who are unfamiliar, created this. It was the co-founder of this thing called Microsoft. And he made a lot of money. And he's paid a lot of taxes, he'll tell you.
I've paid over $10 billion in taxes. I paid more than anyone in taxes. But I'm glad to have paid, if I'd had to pay $20 billion, it's fine. But when you say I should pay $100 billion, okay, then I'm starting to do a little math about what I have left over. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think he feels uncomfortable, but I think he's very right. And he's talking about Elizabeth Warren. And he was on CNBC doing this thing, and they asked her, $100 billion. If she seems to be wanting to come for your money and everybody else's money, would you even talk to her?
You really want the incentive system to be there, and you can go a long ways without threatening that.
Have you ever talked to Elizabeth Warren about any of this before? Would you? Would you want to?
I'm not sure how open-minded she is. Or that she'd even be willing to sit down with somebody, who has large amounts of money.
Yeah. Well, we're going to touch more on that because it's very interesting, because she did fire back. But when you start breaking down the things that she's wanting to do, I will tell you guys, it is eye-opening. The cost and the amount of cost, and also the pie in the sky, everything has to go the right way in a scenario where not only do you need everything to go your direction, you also need everybody else to do the things that you can't order them to do for it to work. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Energy, I've got tons of it. What have I done today? Several radio shows, a couple interviews, worked out. Thank you. Superbeats. Superbeats is great because of what it does for your heart health. Beets are amazing. Beets are awful at eat. Superbeets it's got real flavor. And they've got soft chews now, which are convenient. Take a couple of them and away I go. And I tell you what, I took some after 8 today and did some stuff and I interviewed a bunch of other things to do. It is just amazing. It really is. People walk around here, they say, Chad, how do you do all these shows and do all the things? You're the first one in, you're one of the last people to leave and stuff. I said, let me tell you something. I try to take care of myself, try to eat a little bit better, although I like to snack a little bit. But I said, the reality is I look for certain things, and Super Beets is one of them. It's convenient, these new soft chews. They taste great. The new secret ingredient is grapeseed extract from the Loire Valley. And that helps, support normal, healthy blood pressure, circulation, and natural energy in your body. And right now, you have a great chance to buy 2 bags. They throw a third one free. So inexpensive. Try it. You're going to love it. Go to superbeatsradio.com/Chad. Superbeatsradio.com/Chad or call 800-875-9341 or superbeatsradio.com/Chad. We'll talk a little Bill Gates. We'll talk a little craziness when it comes to money. We'll break down Elizabeth Warren and what she's got cooked up. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
So, Bill Gates, not thrilled by the whole wealth tax of ridiculousness. And was interviewed by, CNBC talking about, Elizabeth Warren. Look, $10 billion, I pay a lot of it. $20 billion, maybe I'd be fine with that. $100 billion, I'm sorry, I'm not. She responded, actually. She said, I don't think she'd want to meet with me. And CNBC still.
Well, we might be brokering the peace here because now Senator Warren says she would be willing to meet with Bill Gates. She tweeted last night, I'm always happy to meet with people, even if we have different views. Bill Gates, if we get the chance, I'd love to explain exactly how much you'd pay under my wealth tax. I promise it's not $100 billion. Some others, by the way, have done the math. On an annual basis, it would be an additional probably $6 billion.
So an additional $6 billion. Right? So that's an additional $6 billion. Well, what starts to happen is that adds up over time. You're not paying for your trillions and trillions of dollars of stuff in the first year. So here, the New York Times broke down her sweeping policy plans and the cost. And they have these little bubbles. It's the easiest thing. I posted on Twitter. Check it out. Each bubble represents $40 billion. Here we go. Let's do this. Roll through it quick. Universal child care, increasing spending on public student debt cancellation and free college. She's going to create a wealth tax on households worth over $50 million. How much revenue that tax would generate is a matter of debate. $2.9 trillion for that. We move down. Climate change agenda, that's $3 trillion. How do you think that's going to happen? Corporate profits, new tax, reversing tax cuts for wealthy people and big corporations. We go from there to Social Security benefits. She's going to increase that. That's $3.1 trillion. To pay for her plan, she would raise investment in payroll taxes on high earners. More affordable housing, $500 billion. Nobody really cares. It's $500 billion, but it's more taxes. Here we go. Medicare for all. The little balls start flying in. Boing. $20.5 trillion. Get ready for this. Price tag relies on aggressive assumptions and lower than several other estimates from experts, but it's $20.5 trillion. And here's how she goes and pays for it. Tax on employers, similar to what they currently spend on health care. Now, wait, get ready for this. Here's the insanity of it all. She thinks that they're going to take what they would spend, right? And so wait a minute here. So, yeah, you're going to do that. But because you're not buying that health care, but you're still taxing them. So you're taking that money from the employers that somehow they're going to pass that money off to the employee. Their pay will rise so they can be taxed more. She wants to strengthen tax enforcement, and then the insanity. She wants to tax the wealthy, 1% of households who are wealthy, right? Steeper for billionaires. Then she wants to tax, if you do anything outside of of our country, she's going to tax the hell out of that, all right? Now, here's the fun stuff. She also wants to tax capital gains, but not when you realize it. She's going to raise capital gains. She wants to tax it on a yearly basis. So if you bought something for $1, right? Let's make it simple. And it goes up for $2. She wants to tax that, even though you haven't taken that profit out as and realized it as income. She wants to tax it. So if the next year it drops down to 50 cents, you still already paid a tax on something you might have lost money on. And God knows she's probably going to try to figure out a way to make sure you can't even take a write-off on actually losing money on something. That is insane. And she is going to cut something, military spending. Woo! Who's excited? What happens when none of these things are realized the way she thinks and it's far more expensive? Who do you think will finally pay for it? I'm just curious. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Check out the Instagram as well. We have fun, kids. Got to be able to have fun. Got to be able to look both sides in the aisle and say you need to grow up, laugh a little bit. They're Americans. They're human beings. They're not your enemies. But this right here is an enemy to your paycheck and your wallet. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're told no formal decision has been made to enter the race, but former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg is filing to get on the ballot for the Democratic presidential primary in Alabama. A spokesman said Bloomberg has become increasingly concerned the current field of Democratic candidates is ill-equipped to defeat Donald Trump next November. If he does enter the race, the spokesman said Bloomberg could win.
That's... Well, of course, I'm a spokesperson for this guy. I think he could win. Who pays your check? The guy that says, I think he could win. Could Bloomberg win? Is it possible? Anytime somebody says, is it possible? I remind them that Donald Trump is president, so anything is possible. And here's the one advantage he has that all of these other people who are trying to raise money don't have. Money. Lots of it. Lots of it. The kind of money Donald Trump would love to have. $53 billion of it. The kind of money that Tom Steyer, a billionaire, would like to have. And he's got some name recognition. Does it mean he's going to win? Does it mean he's even going to jump in? No, but he is, first and foremost, a human being, which means he has what? Anyone? He has an ego. He's a billionaire with an ego. Secondly, he's worried because he looks over there and he says, she wants to tax the world to a place where if everything went the way that she wanted it to go, sweet mama jamma. What does that look like? He wants to do the same thing, Bernie, but he's upped it. Today he came out with his, are you ready for this? His immigration plan that includes getting rid of ICE, that includes getting rid of the Border Patrol, decriminalizing the border, pathway to citizenship, 50,000 people the first year as climate refugees can come here, stopping all deportations. I know it's not open borders because we don't even have a border because we are no longer a country at that point in time. I'm sorry. If you think middle America's like, that sounds great, it doesn't. They're not buying into it. They're not. It may work some places. It may work with AOC and Ilhan Omar and many others that you get super excited about and you go out there and it doesn't work for the voters. They're scared. Medicare for all is expensive. And on top of that, you're not even talking about allowing people to have a choice. You want to take away a choice. You talk about women should control their own bodies. I agree. 110%. I also think you should be able to control your own health care. There's a lot of things that makes him nervous. I understand. I completely agree. Do I think he has a chance? Probably not. Not because he got in late, but because of the way that they're setting things up. You got to remember, he's going to have to qualify in certain areas just to get into the debates. If he could be on the debate stage, absolutely, I think he has a chance of becoming the nominee. There's no doubt in my mind that him sitting there on stage debating all of these people, even though he is kind of a drip, right? He could crush them with realities. That's what Biden has been doing. The problem is it's not coherent, right? It's like you have to pick up every eighth word and go, oh, okay, let's put it all together. It's like a puzzle. Remember when you're a kid? For those of you who are younger, you guys probably don't know this. But we used to get these things, and you get like a decoder ring or something like that, and you have to put it together, or you slide something on a page, and they have holes in it, and you can see what it says. That's kind of what it is with Biden anymore. So do I think he could? Of course. But he's got to get on that stage, and the qualifications is where he's going to have a tough time. We'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Here's your Twitter. You can tweet at me. With all of that going on, let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages, it's on.
We will begin our open hearings in the impeachment inquiry next week. We will be beginning with the testimony of Ambassador Taylor and Ambassador Kent on Wednesday, and we will have Ambassador Yovanovitch testify on Friday. These will be the first of the open hearings. And I think you will see throughout the course of the testimony, not only their testimony, but many others, most important facts are largely not contested.
Yeah. Not only they're contesting anything. And here's one of the things, like Lindsey Graham came out today. Basically, he said, he's kind of like, he's not smart enough. This was more of a mistake and kind of buffoonery. And you're like, what? That's where you're going with that? Right? More ineptitude. I think there's something I think here's the thing with Trump. And I was talking to somebody today, a pretty progressive dude, a comic. And I said, I think in some ways, Trump thinks that, I'm just doing something that everybody does. No big deal. Right? It's no big deal. I didn't break any laws. Everybody got what they wanted. Right? Just settle down. Ain't no thing. These words shouldn't get you in trouble. Come on now. And I'm like, I honestly think he believes stuff like that. Oh, I shouldn't have said that? Right? I shouldn't have? Are you serious? I didn't think I was going to get in trouble. I didn't know that kind of rule. I didn't think I was going to get in trouble. He knew that we was doing, but I don't think he thought that it rose to a level of, they get rid of me for this. Doesn't make it right. Exact opposite. Wrong. But he's not going anywhere. There's going to have to be something so just like, oh, my God. I didn't see that coming. Like, again, I said it, next thing you know, they're standing there. Like, you ever watched, I don't know if you've ever seen this, Producer Phil, but every once in a while, I don't know why, just like people watch poker on television, I'll watch bass fishing.
Really?
Yeah. I always say, man, I want to be a pro. What a great thing. If you could be a pro bass fisher, like, how awesome would that be? What do you do for a living? I drive around in my Champion or Ranger bass boats in the South several months a year, and I fish for large amounts of money, and I have a lot of sponsors. You're like, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. But I'll watch it every once in a while. It always makes me laugh because somebody will be in the lead, and by the way, if you've ever seen any of these things, like they're in like huge arenas, it's nuts. But then somebody will say, well, because it's not just the way they just do the bass fishing is hilarious because you pull your truck and the boat in because the bass are still alive. That's part of the thing. They got to be alive, and they're swimming in a little thing inside the bass boat. And people will reach in and they'll hold up one fish, and people are like, oh, and then there's that sandbagger who goes, oh, hold on a second. I think I got one more. And he reaches in and he pulls out the giant one. Unless that happens, that is something that is just absolutely so insane Because remember, it's not about the phone call. It's about everything leading up to said phone call. And all it takes to derail something like this is, as everybody comes out and talks about, the deep state and this person did this, that, and the other, and the whistleblower, and if any of that stuff that they're saying happens to be true, people are going to be like, this is just a hit job. Who cares? We're, less than a year away. That'd be awesome, though, right? They did that. They pulled out a bass. I don't know why. Here's a bass. Ooh, Trump's guilty. Why? I don't know. He pulled out a bass. You got to watch it once, man. I'm telling you, if you've never seen it, I know I'm going to get some text messages. If you've never seen it, just watching people in an arena cheer for people who are bass fishermen or women, fisher people, that just sounds stupid, who are bass fishermen. It is just, it's insane. You're in an arena cheering for people who are driving a boat, pulled by their truck, cheering for something you didn't see. That's the power of fun. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. It's so hilarious. God, I love that. That makes me laugh. So we were talking about Elizabeth Warren. There's a new article out today. This was great. So you know why she's falling behind, Phil? I want you to take a guess. Why do you think Elizabeth Warren is falling behind? What do you think the new thing is?
She hasn't given enough away?
She's a woman. Yep. Sexism is the reason. Yeah. Well, yeah. She stalled in the polls. Sexism is it. It's the only thing. That's it. And they said the attacks from her Democratic rivals, namely Joe Biden, shows the sexism basically is still alive. Are you not allowed to attack? I haven't heard him say, you're a woman, you don't get anything, you're stupid. Yeah, you should go back to... He didn't say that. He looks at her and says, you're insane. That's never going to work. Your math is not only fuzzy, it's not even real. It's like utopian math. You're like, if I have 2 rainbows and I multiply them by a billion and I add 700 trillion unicorns, I have free healthcare and everything. No, he's not attacking her because she's a woman. Are you not allowed? Here's my thing. Are you not allowed to attack her plan? Isn't that what we want? Is this equality where you can come after people not based on what sex you are or aren't or the color of these things? You're going after their ideas and their plans? And if you're going to hide behind, well, I'm a woman, so you shouldn't be able to do that, then I don't know where to go from that. It's nuts. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Who's excited about having no country? Thank you, Bernie. I'm super excited. And I'm all for immigration reform, for finding out what to do for the people that have been here, for looking at DACA and getting rid of that and actually getting into the Dreamer Act and figuring out how we pass that, doing that in the right. I'm all for all of those things. By the way, people say, why would you want to get rid of DACA? That's not very cool. No, because they don't want DACA. They want the Dream Act. I'm all for looking at stuff that's real, but I'm also for a sovereign country, a border, doing things the right way. And I'm open, especially with this USMCA, man. I would have said, hey, look, we need to have a lot more with our countries. We need to be able to have opportunities for us to move within these countries and work freely, kind of like they do in Europe. It would have been so much smarter. But what I'm not for is basically let's abolish everything and burn. You know, I said earlier, Trump wants to drain the swamp. Bernie wants to burn everything down. Totally different. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. The holidays are here. It's the holiday season. That's where my friends at Lightstream come in because they're looking at me saying, Chad, tell everybody what's going on. All right, you want to save money? Yeah. But you've got credit cards that have, on average, an APR of, what, 20%? How about this? Here's your holiday fun. Rates as low as 5.95%. That's right. So you can consolidate your high-interest credit card balances with a rate that low. And that's auto pay, simple and easy, much lower. Again, almost, 15 percentage points cheaper. That's huge. Think about the cash you're going to save. Your rate is fixed. There are no fees. You can even get your money as early as the same day. And just for being a listener of the Chad Benson Show and a supporter, special interest rate discount. Simple and easy. Go to lightstream.com/Benson. It's the only way you can do it. LIGHTSTREAM.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. What's trending? Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? All right. Let's find out what's trending, shall we? Okay, Chad, let's do it on the internet. Chris Carter's trending. He's been let go by Fox. It's trending big time. Mary Cain, we're going to talk about her tomorrow. She is one of the best female runners a lot of people thought we had in history, but she's got a new thing out talking about how Nike and her coach, Alberto Salazar, abused her for wanting her to lose weight to run faster. And it was very interesting. So it's very, very interesting. And Starbucks, because they got the free reusable cup and holiday drinks menus. They're back today. People are excited about that, including that red cup. That's on Google. On the Twitter. Okay, Bloomer. Because Michael Bloomberg is running. Maybe, kind of, sort of, not sure, but could be. Eric Holder now, speaking of excitement, apparently is also going, maybe I should run. Maybe I should look into it. And I will say this, Eric, don't bother, because you have no chance. You have no chance. Just letting you know that. Zero chance. So I can't even believe. Again, that's the ego side of things. You know, we talk about Trump and everybody else. You have to have some ego. And I have news for you. Billionaires have big egos. Politicians, I meet a lot of them. They got huge egos. Right? Because there's something to getting into that world that you have to have. I'm not saying there's not people that are humble. I mean, they're athletes who have massive egos, and they're athletes, the most humble people you'll ever meet. But you have to have some sort of ego and drive to put you in those situations. And Michael Bloomberg, but you also look at somebody like Eric Holder. Do you really think you have a chance? Somebody who's advising you could do it. You could do it. You can't. You have no money. And your name is not a household name, but no, you could do it. And you're getting in super late, but you could do it. And the ego's like, I could do it. No, you can't. Save everybody's money and don't do it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Coming up, his name is Scott Adams. He's got a new book out that's really good called Loser Think. Oh, you probably like that name sounds familiar. Dilbert. He's the creator, cartoonist for Dilbert. He joins us straight ahead to talk about his new book and Trump. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I love the book. I love the cartoons. He's been kind enough to join us today. The new book's called Loser Think, How Untrained Brains Are Ruining America. But he's also known for a cartoon called Dilbert, the creator, the animator, the man, the myth, the legend. Scott Adams joins us. And I got to say, I'm through most of this book. And first, for everybody out there, just explain, what is loserthink?
Well, loserthink is a word I invented to refer to the fact that even smart people may have gaps in the way they think if they haven't had experience in different domains. For example, if you just had common sense, would you know what a sunk cost was? An economist would, and that's the idea that if you've already spent some money, it shouldn't influence what you do next because that money's already gone. But an artist might say, well, I've already put $1,000 into this. I better put another $1,000 into it so I don't waste the first $1,000. That would not be productive thinking. So I give a bunch of tips in different domains that are as simple as that, and you just have to be exposed to them to absorb them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, you got to think like a leader, think like a scientist. You got all these things. And one of them is thinking like a psychologist. And I found that to be the most interesting because I think we live in a day and age where I tell everybody the greatest sales book in the world, Scott, is psychology books. And you go find them because psychology, you're going to be studying emotion. And emotion is the thing that gets people to do more things than anything else. We see that in the world of politics, no matter what it is, and issues. And thinking like a psychologist and having some common sense is vitally important.
Yeah, and one of the examples of that, some of these categories overlap, but you see a lot in the headlines where people are doing what I call mind reading. They're imagining that they can deduce the secret, evil, inner thoughts of strangers that they've never met from the other side of the country. Now, if you've ever been in a relationship of any kind, you know that the person you're with, your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend, are continually misinterpreting what you're thinking. So if you can't do it with somebody that you're closest to, what are the odds that you're doing it with a stranger on the other side of the country? So I advise people to assume that they're not good at that.
Yeah, people aren't good at that. What made you do something like this? I mean, again, you've got some, obviously, in this day and age, you've been vocal about certain things, in particular politics and Trump and stuff like that. What made you sit down and go, I need to put together something in this day and age that I think is going to help people and maybe shed some light on some things that people don't really think about?
There was a small technological change that really just ruined everything. And it was the fact that we could measure for the first time exactly who was clicking what. And once we knew that, the business models of the media had to change to chase those clicks. And it fairly quickly became obvious that if you could get people worked up, you could stoke their emotions, they're more likely to click. So people don't quite realize that they live in a world where the news is not trying to be the news, it's trying to get your emotions worked up. So when you look at these topics, you're all worked up, and you may not have the tools to analyze them well and look at them objectively. So I thought, well, in this hyped up world, maybe I can help people see the world a little more clearly.
Which is always good. Talking to Scott Adams, he's the creator of Dilbert, and his new book is called Loserthink: How Untrained Brains Are Ruining America. And you talk about this in more than a few chapters here about a mental prison and how people get into mental prisons. And it is so interesting because, people do all the time get into mental prisons, and I don't think they're there. And they don't understand that they're there. They're like, how are you here? Why are you here? Are you not seeing it? And it's an amazing part about this book. Tell everybody out there, when you talk about mental prisons, what's that all about?
Well, it could be, depends on the context. So in the political sense, it might be somebody who's consuming only one silo of news, either just the left or just the right. Because if you're not seeing the other side, you really don't know what's going on. And the tip that I give people is that if the left and the right-leaning news reports the same fact as a fact, it's probably true. But if only one of them says it's true and the other says it's not, you should be really, really skeptical of that, and that can help you see the other side a little bit better. I also recommend that people work on changing what they think of their ego. So instead of thinking, oh, my ego is me, I must protect it, I must never be embarrassed, I must never look awkward, instead of doing that, think of your ego as a tool, something that you can dial up when you need it and dial it down when it would be a problem. For example, it would be good to have an ego if you're going to compete or you're going to go for a job interview, because then a little bit of confidence could go a long way. But you don't want too much. Now, on the low side, you should develop a healthy skepticism about your own ability to predict the future or even to understand the present, because we're really, really bad at it. We're not good mind readers. We often use analogies to predict the future, which is just crazy. So just knowing that you're not good at it is a big first step to getting out of your bubble.
You know, one of the things you talk about in the book, and again, I recommend it to everybody out there. It's an easy read, and it's common sense. And you sit here and you go, is the fact that, you know what, the hyperbole and, everybody's out there, they say stuff and they overdo it and they sell it, in particular politicians and stuff. But you talk about is if you move in the right direction, isn't it kind of worth it at times if you're moving in certain areas in certain directions, and you talk about it with the weight loss. You get there, you may not hit your goals always, but your ball's moving forward and it's moving in the right direction. And so many people are they're just so, set on, I need to hit this exactly right here, or else it almost feels like it's been a failure.
Yeah, and it depends on who you are in the situation. For most situations, you want honest and accurate truth. But if you're a leader, telling people facts often doesn't move them, and sometimes they do need to be moved to a better place. So leaders use hyperbole. They'll scare you. They'll tell you something would be great if you did this, and they may not be exactly accurate. But a good leader, if they have good intentions, are moving you in the right direction. So that's the thing you look for. So leaders typically use hyperbole, but if they're good people, it's still taking you in the right direction.
You were talking earlier about, and it's this, if one side's telling you one thing and the other side's telling you something completely opposite, it's insane. But so many people nowadays, Scott, and you live in a world where, let's be real, you've got a monicum of fame, people love Dilbert, but we also live in a world where it's like if you have any kind of support for the president, people feel like you're the worst person on earth and that everybody who supports the president is a racist and all of these kind of things. And we are living in this bizarre world where we have now decided we want affirmation over information. And it's tough because people nowadays take everything so personal that attack on the president isn't just an attack on the president. It's an attack on the left, the right, whatever it is I identify on. That's the attack on me. And that's insane. How do we get past that?
Well, partly you understanding where it came from. You've all had the experience of you're hungry or you're tired, and something bothers you a great deal. But then you take a snack, take a nap, and the same thing is just the same as it was, but it doesn't bother you anymore. And realizing that the media and social media are ramping up your emotions, so you're just caring too much and you're taking things too far. So that's a good first realization. And then you should learn the techniques of loser think, meaning what to avoid. So don't be lost in the fog of war, for example. The first week of any kind of news report is probably misleading. We've seen this how many times? Every time there's a news story, you think you have the story, and then a week later, it's completely different. So having some humility about how much you know at any given time and how likely you could be wrong is a really good first step.
Absolutely. Talking to Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert. His new book is Loser Think, How Untrained Brains Are Ruining America. And, I try to tell my audience all the time because, I have friends who are progressive. I have friends who are liberal. I have friends who are uber conservative and just, regular old Democrats and Republican friends that people nowadays don't associate. I talked to Mark Halperin the other day and he said he talked to all of these big muckety mucks in the Democratic world who are going to be leading campaigns and some of them potentially presidential campaigns. And he asked, how many, conservative friends do you have and why do they support Trump? And he says, to a person, they all said, well, I don't really have any friends who are conservative or support Trump. That to me is insane that you don't. People just don't have people that are friends. Have we become that tribal?
Yeah. In fact, one of the indications that you're in a cult is if the other people in the cult try to prevent you from interacting with the outside world. And I think both the Democrats and the Republicans have sort of drifted into something that's a little closer to a cult because we're not allowed to talk to the other people.
Yeah, that's nuts. Like Trump, you said something the other day about the way he tweets. And I try to explain to people, just because he's got lots of money, he does resonate with the average regular person. And I try to explain to my friends on the left, you guys don't understand. Trump, for a lot of people, is a bit of the revenge from the coastal elites. He is their whipping stick, is what he is. He looks right at him and says, you guys suck. And trust me, I know you guys suck. I don't think they get that. What is that appeal about Trump? Even like you said, when he misspells stuff, it makes him more human.
Yeah, he definitely has some authenticity that you either love or hate. Now, I happen to love the show because I also understand it as a show. I know he's a showman. I know he's putting on the act. When he's doing a rally speech, I say, oh, that's good stand-up right there. So it's good to keep it in perspective that a lot of it's just the show.
Yeah, and people just can't do that. God, that's the funny thing. You think Trump just wakes up in the morning because he knows people are going to react to him and just trolls people because he knows the reaction he's going to get and they just lose their mind because they take it seriously? How do people get away from stuff like that?
You know, the weirdest thing is that people think he doesn't have a sense of humor when, in fact, he runs his entire presidency as, partly a serious enterprise and partly almost like a comedy. And when he does stuff that makes the other side go crazy, his fans are just literally laughing. We're
absolutely.
We're just watching the show, and what makes it funny is that the people who are the targets of it don't realize it's a show. They're in the show, but they don't know it's a show.
Yeah, and that's I always say, man, I'll some days I'm just like so frustrated with him, and then he hits a one-liner that's just a throwaway joke, and you're just like, that's why everybody laughs at. You're like, I can't stay mad at him as much as I want to at times, and I can disagree with him, and I have a lot of disagreements with him because I don't think you should ever, again, the cult thing, should never agree 100% with everybody. But man, he'll have that throwaway line, and I'm like, man, people don't get how funny he really is. Okay, what else you got going on? What's going on with Dilbert? What else you got coming on in the future? I see you vlogging and doing all these things. What exciting things you got coming up?
Well, I'm building out a little studio in my house so I can do more video. But I make a lot of my decisions based on how the last thing went. So if this book does great, and so far it is, that might tell me to write another one.
Absolutely. And I love it. And you can get it anywhere, right? Including Audible, because I heard you voiced it too, right?
I did. That's a long day, but that's my voice on there.
Ah, great. And get it anywhere. And if people want to get in touch with you, check out your vlogs, where do they head to?
On Twitter, go to Scott Adams Says, all one word.
Right on. Loser Think, How Untrained Brains Are Ruining America. Scott Adams, creator of Dilbert and this book that is amazing. And, of course, your other book, your best-selling book, Winning Bigly. Thanks so much, Scott. You have a wonderful day. I appreciate you hanging with us here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. At Chad Benson shows your Twitter. You tweet at us. I love Dilbert. Dilbert's cool. He's a bit of a stirrer too. He says some hilarious things, and when you read this and talk about the hyperbole and stuff that goes on and how people are nuts and they just say things, it is, again, we need to teach common sense sometimes. You can be brilliant, but have no common sense. You can have a lot of common sense, but not really super book smart, and I'll take that person over the other one. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Ever heard of someone dying of a broken heart? If that's possible, a new study finds that heart was more likely broken by a family member than a romantic partner. 2,800 participants completed surveys about their family relationships, intimate partner relationships, and general health at the start of the study, 10 years later, and 20 years later. Family strain was associated with a higher number of chronic health conditions. Romantic relationships didn't affect them. The findings are published in the journal Family Psychology.
Yeah, you know why? Because of your family. That's why. Pretty much sums it up right there. Like your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, whatever, it's over, it's broken up, da-da-da, you're bummed, you're sad, maybe. Super long-term effect, possibly. But you're probably predisposed to having issues anyways. But very few people cash in all the chips on the family and say, I'm never talking to you again. So you're going to be stuck in a situation where they're your family, right? You may find another love of your life, right? The next one, it. You're not finding a new mom, a new dad, horrible sister, right? And vice versa. They ain't finding new kids. Oh, that's not cool. No. Makes me laugh. Family drives you crazy, but they're your family, right? Blood is thicker than water. You know that. I know that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You know my talk of Bigfoot, but I can't imagine if somebody stole my memories of Bigfoot. Somebody just actually stole a Bigfoot.
Police in Florida on the hunt for Bigfoot. Not a flesh and blood Sasquatch, but an 8-foot, 300-pound statue of the legendary ape-like creature. The statue, which police say is worth $3,000, was stolen from a mattress store in Boynton Beach between October 6th and 13th, but the store didn't realize it was missing because it was buried in other large decorations outside for Halloween. No surveillance video of the theft, but police say they're confident it'll turn up, saying it's not exactly the easiest thing to hide.
Ooh. Somebody stole, but don't be stealing Bigfoot. It's like people who steal, like, remember Bob's Big Boys? And every city had something like that, and people would steal it. Who would steal a big Bigfoot? Maybe somebody threw it away. Right? Thought it was junk. You don't know. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's a really good interview. Scott Adams is an interesting character. And check out his, just go check out his vlog and stuff like that. And the book, I highly recommend it. It is an easy read, and it's just so simple as far as like, oh, yeah, I see that. I was talking to somebody today about it, like not irrational and rational. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I am irrational, and I think I am rational. Everybody does that. Raycons are amazing. They're incredible. I love mine. You'll love yours. How do I know? Let's just put it this way. I saw one of the huge brands who have massive deals on Black Friday, and let me tell you, Raycons are better. There's no stems or wires or anything like that. Better sound, better quality, and they're not just half off. They're even more than half of what you'd spend on those for better quality. Get your Raycons today. You're going to absolutely love them. They're incredible. My family swears by them. Jack swears by them. You'll swear by them too. Save 15% as well. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. That's buyraycon.com/Chad. Man, I was looking. I was like, 144 of those? Oh my God. These Raycons are way better, and they last longer, and you're going to save 15%. Buyraycon.com/Chad. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. Is that? It is. I see Friday. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Corrupt politicians, Nancy Pelosi, and shifty Adam Schiff, and the crooked media have launched the deranged, delusional, destructive, and hyper-partisan impeachment witch hunt.
Impeachment witch hunt. Witch hunt. Here we go. Let's think about it next week. Impeach-a-palooza is coming. Are you guys excited? Oh, it's going to be fun. Is it? I don't know if it's going to be fun. But the world gets to watch, right? America gets to do something that even with Bill Clinton, it's the way that this thing's going to be covered. Cameras from around the world. It's like the Olympics. It is something that we have never seen. We have never, ever seen.
Democrats are lining up their witnesses for next week's impeachment hearings, keeping an eye on the millions of Americans who will tune in to watch. Under the rules passed by the House last week, those first rounds of public hearings starting next Wednesday will be held by the House Intelligence Committee to lay out the evidence. Democratic Chairman Adam Schiff, a former prosecutor, is planning to keep it tight. Just a handful of witnesses in several hearings over the next few weeks. And under the rules, Democrats can block any Republican subpoenas.
Oh, that's not cool beans. Right? But what would that look like, right? Like if you block a subpoena, what does that look like? Because if they did that, you would be like, that's obstruction. People that you have never met and you never will see instantaneously over what you perceive to be the right or wrong answer, the red or blue side. How awesome is that? All for an outcome we know. Right? All for an outcome we know. I don't care what you tell us. I don't care about any of that stuff. For all intents and purposes, barring anything that is just so extraordinary that literally an alien comes down and delivers that missing piece of the puzzle that says, oh, he's got to go. Which I'm not saying never, because I kind of think Adam Schiff's an alien. But all of that being said, this is what it is. We know what the outcome's going to be, but the opera, right? The drama, the soap opera that will be, is more about 2020 than it's going to be about whether or not he's going to be asked to bounce.
We will begin our open hearings in the impeachment inquiry next week. We will be beginning with the testimony of Ambassador Taylor and Ambassador Kent on Wednesday, and we will have Ambassador Yovanovitch testify on Friday. These will be the first of the open hearings. And I think you will see throughout the course of the testimony, not only their testimony, but many others, most important facts are largely not contested.
Sounds like he's announcing a concert series, right? Very excited. Here's some of the headliners. Bill Taylor, Maria Yovanovitch, and we've got a few other ones that are going to blow your mind. Doesn't matter, though, because the right and the left have made up their mind. It's us in the center. They're going to be the ones that... And here's the thing. Even us in the center. People say, well, you're in the center. You don't make a decision. No, I make a decision. The difference is I don't make a decision based on the R and the D, the red or the blue. I look at everything individually. I can look at this and say, I want to hear all the information. I want to see how you draw stuff up and go from there. Right? So who's going to have the better actors? Who's going to be able to get out the information in such a way as to sway people or to not sway people? Because that's what it's all about now. Now it's about a sales job. You're looking at two cars, and you're like, you know what? Like, for the average person, some people already they've chosen their car, right? Well, the red one, these people over here want the blue one. It is what it is. But for a lot of us, we're like, well, you know, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. And then you're like, I'm going to call an Uber. So this is it. This is it. So be prepared for the chaos and the craziness that is going to come out of this, because it is going to be chaos. It is going to be crazy. It is going to be lies. It is going to be foolishness. It is going to be disinformation on a whole new level. I mean, even yesterday, do you know how many emails, tweets, things I got about who this person is, this whistleblower, who they are, what they've done, how they... You know, it's I don't know. Because I'm at the point now where I'm so skeptical with people. It's like, don't believe anything. And it's tough because everybody's got a motive. The motive is, I want you to agree with me, or I want you to agree with them. I just want to hear what facts you have, and I want to hear those facts disputed by other people, because they're going to ask some questions that you haven't asked because you've wanted to shape something in a certain way. But now they're going to ask other questions that maybe is going to change the shape of that to a way that's more to somebody else's liking. And then we'll go from there and we'll see where we stand. But this is unprecedented. And I was trying to explain that. I was talking to my son, Jack, 9 years old. I said, Jack, let me tell you, this happens very rarely. Like Halley's Comet was probably been here more than this. This happens like you can't even believe. And we had to talk about it, and it's going to be interesting for sure. But the historical nature on top of all of that and the way that we're going to be able to consume it is something that is, and the way that we're going to be able to fight with people we've never met and never will also be both enthralling and sad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. Still, people reeling over what went down in Mexico. They're trying to figure it out. Now there is a lot of people are saying, hey, they may have been actually targeted, but the reality is how much will we ever find out about it because of what that area is truly like? It's a narco state.
Mexican officials have been in and out of this area for several days now, and there's a large military presence, but still no arrest. And the family isn't confident anything's going to happen anytime soon. As they told us directly yesterday, the cartels run this part of the country.
Yeah. And so when you've got people who are supposed to be investigating things, and what's the saying in Mexico, right? Silver or lead. You're going to take one or the other. The silver is the money. The lead is death. You choose which one you're going to take. Most people choose silver. So you've got corruption on top of corruption. How hard are they going to look? How hard are they actually going to pay attention? I don't know if they're going to pay attention that much. I don't. I think they're going to do some due diligence to the sense that it may make some people feel like they're doing something, but they're not really going to get to that place where they're going to do something. It's just not happening. And I don't blame them. I understand. Man, if somebody came to you today and said, look, here's the deal. Either you take my money and you look the other way because we have more firepower. We're 10 times more ruthless than you are. And everybody else around you is doing it. So if you don't do it, you and your family are going to die. That's tough. Right? What would you do when faced with that? And even if you stood up, how long? I mean, how many times do we hear stories in Mexico where they get a mayor of a town and he's like, I'm going to clean this place up. The corruption's going to go away. And then like 5 minutes later, he's dead. The power that these cartels have. I tell everybody, if you've never seen anything or read anything about Pablo Escobar, he was the most dangerous human being as an individual and an organization. I'm not talking about like the Nazis or anything. I'm talking about just as an organization, individual. He made our mafia look like a joke. I think at one time in Colombia, they had 8 or 12 people that were running for president, all vowing that they were going to do the same thing and, extradite him to the U.S., and he killed all of the ones that were going to extradite him. So imagine if everybody in the Democratic Party that said they were going to do something, all of a sudden they're all gone and it's down to 2. And you didn't get there because you were the best. You got there because you were the one who's saying, I'm not going to do anything to this guy. That's the power they have right now. So, no, they're not going to find anything else out. They're going to placate some people. We'll have some people who may do some research and stuff over there. But the reality, at the end of the day, nothing's going to come of this. It isn't. You know that, and I know that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Hope you were doing well. Hope you had a good Wednesday. Got yourself over the hump. I did. I had fun doing it, too. Right? It was a great day yesterday. A lot of fun. We had Mark Halpert on yesterday. If you didn't hear it, go back and get it. And I had a lot of people who sent me text messages and tweets at me. You know what he did? I said, look, let me tell you something. I'm over cancel culture. Did he do some stuff that he readily admitted to? Yes. Did he apologize that or try to? Yes. Has it come out the way that he's wanted? No. But we've got to allow people to come off the sidelines. We've got to allow people to have a second chance at redemption. We absolutely must. I'm over the entire cancel culture. We don't want you to exist. Right? People do dumb things. They take advantage of situations. They make horrible decisions. But the same people that always advocate for cancel culture are the same people telling me we need to do all this criminal justice reform because the guy that killed 4 people is just misunderstood and he needs to come out and get a second shot. I'm like, really? Which, look, I'm fine for second chances, and that includes people that have, quote-unquote, fallen into the cancel culture world. 323-538-2423, at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from each and every one of you. And, yes, his book is amazing. It really, really is. Car Shield. What are you waiting for, people? Get it. How many times? It's a perfect gift, by the way. So let's say you buy your kid a car this year for Christmas. You know, they're old enough and you're going to put some money and you're going to help them out, but you're going to get them a used car. What are they not going to have? They're not going to have a warranty. That's where Car Shield comes in. With Car Shield, you get 24/7 roadside assistance, peace of mind right there. A rental car for free when and if your car goes in the shop. And the shop's the shop that you get to choose, right, Mom and Dad? Right? So you say, hey, you know what? We're going to use our family mechanic we've used for years and years, and we trust them. They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. They've got plans for every make and model of cars. So if you have a car that is just a regular old car that's 10, 12 years old, but you still like it and doesn't have all the electronics, they got a plan for that. And if you've got one that's got all those electronics in it now, it's like a computer, they got a plan for that. Check it out for yourself. Go to carshield.com. Use code Benson. That's carshield.com, code Benson. It's going to save you 10%. Or call 800-CAR-6000. 800-CAR-6000. Use code Benson, save you 10%. A deductible may apply. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you. That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable.
This is Chad Benson.
Saudi Arabia certainly likes to crack down on critics. Just look at what happened to former Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, who was killed inside the embassy of Saudi Arabia in Istanbul. According to prosecutors, these former Twitter employees, Ali Azalbara and Ahmed Abouomo, accessed more than 6,000 accounts of Saudi critics.
Easy for him to say. Chad, you're such a jerk. Yeah, so they were spying on us. Well, you know, I'm sure at some point in time, if they could, they would, but they were looking for critics of the kingdom. They're looking for critics of the kingdom because they don't like people criticizing the kingdom. You're right.
It's clear that the Saudis were looking for information to punish people speaking against them, not just in the terrible, brutal murder of Mr. Khashoggi, but in the form of suppression.
Information is absolutely key, right? More information you have, especially when you're trying to figure out if people like you or don't like you. And in a world where you have to worry about your minions potentially rising up, what do you want to do? You want to keep them down. You want to keep them down. And don't come cheap.
It started, according to the criminal complaint, as soon as one of these former Twitter employees met with a Saudi official and was given a watch valued at upwards of $35,000. Right after that meeting is when this former employee, according to the complaint, started looking up the private user information of people of interest to the Saudi royal family.
It's probably something he just had in his closet. I don't know if you're aware of this. They have a lot of money. When we opt in to give away everything, these are the things that can potentially happen. And when you expand and you give the globe the opportunity to do the same thing, know that people are always going to be looking for things. I mean, whether it's in Hong Kong, as what we've seen going on, or whether it's in places like Lebanon and Iraq and Iran, where they're having all kinds of situations, where they're having all kinds of protests, people are looking, right? And it's not just people looking at the old feeds and trying to find stuff. They're looking for other things. People that can be a problem, whether it's a monarchy, a dictatorship, or even a fragile democracy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Impeach-a-palooza. Man, it's going to be interesting. I wonder what the numbers will be like, right? And then are those numbers, because you got Impeach-a-palooza, right? And then you got Remove-a-Cella, which will be the Senate hearing. We're going to call that Remove-a-Cella. So Impeach-a-palooza and Remove-a-Cella. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Bill Gates speaks out, and Bernie Sanders He's got an immigration reform laid out there. And what it means to you is you don't have a country. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I think the whole thing is sour grapes and politically driven. This is the first time anybody's ever been impeached by a partisan. The last time we did this, it was with special counsels. Honestly, I think the whole thing's a crock. If Mueller had found something, it would have been completely different because I trusted Mueller. I've looked at the phone call. I don't care what Sunderland presumes. Show me where there's a quid pro quo.
Well, they're going to show you along the way that the phone call was because of the quid pro quo. They're going to show you that. That's, in saying that, though, it is tough in this tribal, bipartisan world that we live in. In a world where, and I was talking today to somebody I like very much, one of our higher-ups with my company. And he and I were talking about the fact that if Trump wasn't such, at times, a troll and an a-hole, which he can be, because that's anybody, because he's a human being, and he wasn't hated. Now, you can disagree with his politics and those kind of things, but he wasn't hated. We probably wouldn't be going through this. But there has been a concerted effort along the way, from the Washington Post, the day he was inaugurated, saying the impeachment begins, to where we are now, taking a second bite at the apple or the sour grapes. And by the way, what are you trying to do? You're trying to squeeze as much juice out of that sour grape as possible. They will show you stuff. But because we are so into affirmation rather than information, do you believe any of it? Because let me tell you what these folks are here. They're human beings. And like everybody else, they're flawed. And like everybody else, they're in it for themselves and the best interest of themselves immediately. They don't worry about other things. Somebody said today, would you support impeachment if he did something to the Constitution? I said, absolutely, because I believe the Constitution is much stronger and much more important than a singular person. But you're going to have to win over a bunch of people that are skeptical anyway. They're skeptical about diets. They're skeptical about climate change. They're skeptical about red or blue dress or whatever that thing. They're skeptical about everything anymore because they're coming at situations where they should be skeptical because they don't trust the information given to them. And that, I think, is going to be tough to win over. I think most people are in a situation where they're looking around and they're saying to themselves, we're a year out. Less than that. Let's handle it there. Let's handle it there. Speaking of a year out, I was going over, so this is amazing. The New York Times has a really, I know people say, New York Times? Oh my God, Chad was the New York Times. The New York Times has a great, and I put it on Twitter, you can check it out, has a really good article that it's not even really an article. It's essentially this like walkthrough situation of the taxes that Elizabeth Warren is going to have to raise. And on top of that, all the things that absolutely have to go right with that to even get to that point, all the things that are going to have to be cut. And it's awesome. When you look at it, you're like, wow. Remember, it's all about what? Massive assumptions and every single thing going your way. It's like saying, don't worry, I don't need to pay my bills today or tomorrow or till, I can spend all I want because at the end of the month, I'm going to hit the lottery every single month. forever. Yesterday, CNBC. A guy by the name of Bill Gates. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, right? But apparently he's been rather successful, was talking about Elizabeth Warren and taxes because he is paid, a few bucks.
I've paid over $10 billion in taxes. I paid more than anyone in taxes. But I'm glad to have paid, if I'd had to pay $20 billion, it's fine. But, when you say I should pay $100 billion, okay, then I'm starting to do a little math about what I have left over. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
But he's really not kidding because, like everything, there's always ounce of truth in that. There's more than that because he's like, I'm kidding about, what I have left over. But he's absolutely right in what they're trying to do and what they would like to do.
So you really want the incentive system to be there, and you can go a long ways without threatening that.
Have you ever talked to Elizabeth Warren about any of this before?
Would you? Would you want to? I'm not sure how open-minded she is. Or that she'd even be willing to sit down with somebody, who has large amounts of money.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I don't think she's very open-minded in this because I think she has a plan. She absolutely has a plan of what she wants to do. Right? Doesn't mean she wouldn't listen, but if your goal is to change her mind, even if you show her stuff, then what are you going to do? Right? Because she's not going to change her mind. So why would you even want to sit down and talk? And they're having a dialogue, and we'll touch on that. But let's go through some of the stuff and what she would like to do. And it's so easy. Check it out. New York Times. It's an interactive kind of map. And it has these little balls, and each ball represents like 40 billion. So for education and child, 2.9 trillion, right? 2.9 trillion. This is going to be part of the wealth tax, right? Over 50 million. Okay, so we move down from there. Now we got our climate agenda. That's 3 trillion. This is going to be tax on corporate profits and reversing tax cut for wealthy people and big corporations. Then you got Social Security benefits. She's going to up that by $200 a month. That's going to be 3.1 trillion. And this is in what? She would raise investment and payroll taxes on the high earners. So right now we're about 9.1 trillion. We're not done, kids. More affordable housing. It's cheap. It's $500 billion. How's she going to do that? Expand the estate tax. Because once you've been taxed, you need to be taxed more, even when you're dead. Right? Then we're going to move to a bunch of other little things, broadband and stuff like apprenticeship programs, $410 billion and more. Again, eliminate tax benefits for inherited assets. So we're at 10 trillion. Medicare for all. Here's the big one, baby. We're going. The balls are flying in. 20.5 trillion. And again, these are rough estimates and the cheaper estimates. How do we get to those situations? Right? Well, listen to this. She would impose a new tax on employers. So what have we done so far? We've taxed the employers. We've taxed invested. We've taxed the dead. We've taxed employers again. And the tax is going to be similar to what they currently spend on employees' health care. Right? Now, again, these are all assumptions, and everything goes the right way. So here's the other thing. Also added revenue would come from existing taxes. Workers would no longer pay for health insurance premiums, so their take-home pay would rise because she thinks that when you tax employers more and you do more and more of this and costs start to rise in other situations, that somehow they're going to pass that on to the employee because she's insane. Right? And she wants to strengthen tax enforcement to collect more taxes, both in the country and out. And this one right here, she also believes a significant would come from taxing the wealthy, right? She wants to tax their capital gains annually instead of when the investment is sold. She also wants to raise taxes on those gains as well. And let's not forget, she wants to hit things like tax on financial investment, trades, impose new fees on big banks. Who do you think that's going to hurt? And if you do business outside the country. And finally, she's going to cut big time military spending. So she wants to tax you. Think about this for a second. She wants to tax you. And people, rich people, whatever it is. You got a 401k, you're in the marketplace. Guess what? I have news for you. You're in the stock game. You may not be an individual stock, but what causes your stocks to rise is investment into marketplace. And you want to tax people who've got huge investments in the marketplace before they've realized their actual gains in the investment. So if you bought something at $1 and this year it's up to $2, she wants to tax you on that, even though you actually haven't taken the money out. So tomorrow it could go back down to 50 cents. So I'm sure you'll be able to write that off, because if they take that away, there's no incentive whatsoever to ever invest. If all you could do is lose and not be able to write it off and have to pay as you go for something you've not realized. She's living in a world where it's insane. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen that way. And when you look at the stock market today, for everybody that goes, Trump's horrible, he's bad, and da-da-da-da, and you look and you're like, your 401k's jumping, and you're sitting there smiling because it's a new record highs, have a smile on your face, because you are participating. You may not think so because you don't have a broker the way that the other people do, but trust me, you're participating. And you go from that to what we're going to talk about in a minute, which is the insanity of what Bernie Sanders is talking about when it comes to not only all of that stuff, but he's upping the ante when it comes to immigration. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Love hearing from you. Experts are saying if you have Christmas stuff out early, you're happier. I was reading that today, and I'm like, yeah. Hey, I'm not lying to you guys. I tell you guys, I watch the Hallmark and Lifetime stuff. I love it. I'm not joking. It makes me happy. It makes me smile. In a day and age with division and fight and hate and all this kind of stuff. And you know what's hilarious? I hear from more guys on Twitter who are like, dude, I love that. That's hilarious. So do I. Hey, by the way, producer Phil, did you see my tweet last night? I was sitting there and I'm just relaxing, and I Want My 80s was on, which is, for those of you guys who know, MTV used to actually play music. And I watched, I was watching videos, and it was hilarious. Like Duran Duran came on, knew everything from Hungry Like the Wolf, and then Debbie Gibson came on, and I knew every part of that song.
That's incredible.
Debbie. Only in my dreams. It's as real as it may seem. 323-538-2423. And Jeff Benson Show is your Twitter. I watched, you know what else I watched? They had on there Depeche Mode. I just can't get enough. What a great song. What a great song. The holidays are here. Not going to lie to you. They're approaching, and you're looking on ways how to save extra cash, right? Because that's, who doesn't want to do that? Well, right now you're paying what on your credit cards? Average interest rate's 20% plus. 20% plus. How about this? Consolidate your high interest rate credit card balances. Save big time with Lightstream. You're going to get a rate as low as 5.95% APR with AutoPay, much lower than the national average. Big time. They're going to lock in that rate. There's no fees. You can even get your money out as early as the same day. And right now, on top of that, just for being my listener, how about this? A huge discount. Go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's ligstream.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Word came Wednesday that a computer-generated version of James Dean will be created to play a brand new part in an upcoming movie. And even though Dean's family is on board, others aren't, including Captain America star Chris Evans, who tweeted, "This is awful and shameful." Lord of the Rings star Elijah Wood tweeted, "Nope, this shouldn't be a thing." Zelda Williams, the daughter of Robin Williams, writes that if all it takes is money and a distant relative's permission, the future is grim and full of corporate ghosts. The movie, Finding Jack, is due out next year.
Get over yourselves. I got to be honest with you guys. Chris Evans is insufferable. He is. This is awful. It's technology, right? Many people have no idea who James Dean is, other than he's a picture, poster, black and white. They're trying something. You know what's happening, guys? You guys are a little uncomfortable because you're feeling people moving into your space, right? You've seen what's happening with technology in the world of, like other media, newspapers, other things. Because so far technology has helped you, right? It's giving you more opportunities, right? With Netflix and all of the other things that are popping out left, right, and center. I mean, Apple's rolling out something new every 5 minutes. You got Disney with new stuff. You see all that. And that's more opportunity. But now something's coming along that's a disruptor. Somebody's going to try something. It's not the first time. My God, for the last umpteen years, they've been doing it at like Lollapalooza and Coachella. It's like, hey, here comes, Tupac. And you're like, oh. And it's neat. But this feels uncomfortable because what happens if they actually replace somebody and they have a movie and a show and they use other people that aren't actors? And what about that? James Dean's family is fine with it. Get over yourselves. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. This was interesting. So T.I., he's a rapper, right? You guys know who he is? Right? I like T.I. He makes me laugh. He was on a podcast talking about his daughter, and he got tons of blowback about her. She's 18, but he still goes with her to the, the lady doctor.
And yes, not only have we had the conversation, we have yearly trips to the gynecologist to check her height.
Oh, hey. Do you go with her? She's a prisoner.
Yes, I go with her. So we'll go. You know what I mean? I say, Deja, they want you to sign this. They want you to sign
this right now. I need to know if your hymen's still there.
So we can share information. Is there anything that you would not want me to know? Oh, okay. See, Doc, ain't no problem.
And everybody's hammering him and this, that, and the other. He's joking around and he goes, but he's an involved dad. He's not overbearing. He's not nuts. You ever watch him with his kids? Dude's an involved guy. He wants to be around his kids. Right? It makes me laugh, though, because because of social media, we have the chance to criticize people and talk about how horrible and awful and it's her body and let her alone and stuff. And it's like, settle down. Right? Just settle down. Laugh a little bit. Because he's laughing. I'm sure she doesn't hate her dad. I'm sure people are like, I would hate to be his kid. I'm like, I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would. I'm sure her life is awful. Horrible. Get over it. But he needs to calm down. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet right at me. You can check out the Instagram as well. We got a funny Instagram, and I tweeted out earlier, Bernie Sanders. We've got a picture of him saying he's holding a baseball bat and swinging it with a major leaguer. And it says, under my plan, when you hit a grand slam, 2 of those runs will go to the other team. 323-538-2423. TheChadShow.com. Go there and get the podcast. And I'm telling you guys, you have a chance. Go get the podcast from yesterday and check out the Mark Halperin interview. It's a great interview. It really is very eye-opening. And grab the book as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.